are heart healing sounds, sound healing. This is the F sharp, and it relates to your heart chakra, the high heart. And this is the A tone, and this relates to your crown and your third eye chakra. Helps to expand your consciousness, and this helps you to be heart-centered and to lead from your heart space. And this is called sound healing.
Okay, so this makes everyone in love then.
In love, happy, balanced, relaxed. This is rose quartz. So people that's in crystal healing, this is rose quartz, and it's an alchemy crystal bowl. And the way it's shaped, the sound resonance goes out and it just keeps ringing. I'm not playing it and it just keeps ringing because we're all resonance, we're all energy, and we respond to sound.
Okay, so how did you find sound healing and how can people benefit from it?
Well, we actually find sound healing as soon as we're in our mother's wombs. The first sound we hear is the heartbeat of our mother in the womb space. And then that reminds us of the drum. And if you look at ancient traditional tribes, you know, it's like you have a medicine drum, you have a drum that kind of like just let you know that, you know, you're being called to action. And you have a healing drum. We use that a lot in shamanic practices. So any kind of traditional healing practices, the drum and sounds plays a very important tool in like temples and any kind of religious practice. Sound, using your voice, singing hymns, it has a frequency and it uplifts the spirit and it raises your vibration. And yes, I was studying in London. I'm from South Africa, but I studied in London, alternative medicine. And I was in a Covenant Garden and this guy was playing his Tibetan bowls and he just drawed me. I was just like, and then I started studying and deepening with sound healing. Because my background's very scientific and I had a clinical practice as a integrative medicine doctor. I was treating the body always on a functional medicine perspective, like, you know, just healing through diet, lifestyle, mindset, supplementation, all these other therapeutic tools. And it's really the last decade that I've shifted more to energy medicine and more of a spiritual approach because, you know, all disease processes have a psychosomatic element to why it's manifesting in a physical way. So even all disease processes has a resonance to it. And anything of a lower frequency, if we raise our vibration, nothing of a lower frequency, even a disease process can be withstained in that. So this is to raise your vibration.
Right.
Yeah, and when we go, I lead spiritual tours to Egypt and pilgrimages and retreats, wellness retreats to Egypt. And all these sacred sites have frequency and energy in those places. So when you meditate and you tap into that, it just helps to elevate you and give you a new perspective on your life and health and well-being.
All right. Well, give thanks. So everyone, today we're with Dr. Kathia Roberts of SOAR Journeys. And as you can see, she does sound healing. She told you a bit about her background already. Having a clinical practice and being into natural and integrative medicine as well. And also she takes the spiritual journeys to Egypt. So thank you for coming and joining us today. Let's start a bit about the sound healing. So you talked about everything has resonance.
Yes.
How can you break that down in simple terms for people to understand? Like what do you mean by everything has resonance? Yeah.
So our body is mostly made up of water and everything, even a thought process, all subject matter has a frequency to it. So, and that's what we are comprised of as well. And so we respond to sound. You know, it's like you could say the same thing. You could say, I'm very displeased with you in one tone, and you can say, I'm really displeased with you. And it carries a whole different effect on the body. Just with the way that frequency, that energy intent was put around it. So that's why the sound carries so much more, and we can heal ourselves with sound too. Just by using our voice, it can heal ourselves, chakra alignment, and also kind of like mantras, things we say, it has a frequency to it.
So I guess that explains why, going and sitting by the water and just hearing like the tide coming in and the water crashing against the rocks, and sometimes just the wind blowing through trees or birds chirping, how that can have such a calming effect on us, So it sounds like it's the vibration.
Yes, it's a vibration.
Around that, and our bodies start responding to that vibration, which is, why we're encouraging people to deal more with natural and living, because it's far more sustainable. It's good for us. And, spending time in nature, developing a very, a strong appreciation for nature, actually getting our hands in the soil or having our feet on the ground and things of that nature makes a huge difference. So how do you actually help people with this sound healing practice that you've developed? Like, once you learned about resonance and the sound healing, how have you found ways to help people?
So before I came to Bermuda, I was still in New York City, and I had a pediatric practice. So I would use sound healing tools even with my with kids. So if they have, even with ear infections, other situations that they have that came up in their body, digestive conditions, because the alimentary canal is really, we are processing emotions through our alimentary canal, which is your digestive process. And so we're holding a lot of emotion there, and that's energy. And so it may manifest on a physical level, in digestive upset, irritable bowel disease, or whatever pathology or functional component you assign to it, but there is emotional element to it. So with sound, you can break up that frequency, reset it, rebalance it, and then the energy can dissipate instead of being held in that place, causing this dysfunction on a physical level. So, and kids are very responsive to that. So it's good, like you were just mentioning the ocean. So we have an ocean drum. I didn't bring it, but I'm going to have it at the expo. So I'm going to be doing a sound bath, but I have an ocean drum, and it has these little beads in it, and it mimics the flow of the crashing of the waves. And that also metaphorically reminds us of the ebbs and flow of life, because I apply this to in-depth psychology, which is just going more the introspection and self-development of like, okay, so nature is really informing us. We can learn so much of nature. By looking at those waves, it's telling us, well, sometimes a wave is going to come and it's going to crash us, but it's going to pull back again. And then it goes in a more kind of like a more just subtle harmony back and forth instead of just crushing you. But sometimes it's going to knock you over, and then you get up again. And then it returned back to this flow. So it's just we're being reminded of these components and how we can apply that to our life. So I like to attune to these elements, and I use that in my healing work. And then also when you travel, and you travel with that in mind, it's like you're taken out of your mundane life, and you're able to see your life in a whole new different way. You're able to see how other cultures live, how they are more conscientious of nature, how they live more in oneness with nature. Being from Africa myself, that's how I grew up. We're much more in one. When I went to the UK to study for 8 years and then living in the States for 18 years, there's such a huge disconnect in the Western world with nature, huge disconnect. And it's so, everything's disposable. People are disposable, food's disposable. And it's just getting back to nature and being grounded with nature and in harmony with nature. That is, and when you do spiritual or holistic travel like that, that's really what I'm offering. I'm offering an embodied experience of inner reflection and self-healing, you are able to make huge lasting change. My teacher said, that's been leading pilgrimages to Egypt for 30 years, she used to say, it's 20 years of therapy in 2 weeks. And it is that. It's intense. It's like, because what you were saying about the sounds, some sounds are very soothing to people. Because sounds has a memory as well. We assign it to a memory of experiences. So sometimes I play certain balls that can be aggravating to somebody. And this also teaches us how we live in harmony with other people, because certain things we say and do can be triggering and irritating to some people and not to others. And then how do we return to that state of equilibrium?
So what role did growing up in Africa have on, play on you getting involved with the things that you're doing now?
Oh, huge role. I mean, our ancestors, our parents, grandparents, they all, would use medicine of the bush. We call it bush medicine, right? So you grow up learning about herbal medicine and it's being applied to you, and growing up treating ailments, they very much not so, more conservative, even the medical model, while back then growing up than it was in America. America is just every diagnostic tool under the sun, and it gets exhausted, and it's over-diagnosing, and it's, just looking to find something that's wrong with you. Whereas, in South Africa was very conservative in that, it's like really trying to help heal yourself first. So aromatherapy, herbal medicine, those were my bases growing up. And then also learning from the Sangomas. So the Sangomas are the witch doctors. And I served on the Allied Health Professions Council in South Africa. So I was actually on a statutory board helping to regulate natural medicine in South Africa. So I've also took initiatives to protect our indigenous medicine, indigenous herbal medicine, and, help in how that's conserved, and also that's acknowledged by mainstream medicine as a medicine, and being implemented in, I was a professor at the University of Western Cape, helped to develop their curriculum in natural medicine. So it was a big part of my advocacy, and to protect that and have it in integrity and being acknowledged and being implemented. My PhD was in integrative medicine, actually looking at naturopathic medicine or natural medicine in all around the world, and how it's implemented in mainstream medicine and research and practice. Yeah.
So let's talk a bit about these pilgrimages.
Okay.
Now.
Yes.
Yeah. So, why Egypt? And why should people be even interested in going there? Yeah.
So when I first went to Egypt, it just felt like home. It felt like home. It felt like my soul returned home. Everything felt familiar to me. And I mean, it's probably also being an African country. I'm from South Africa, that's North Africa. It just felt very similar in how I grew up. And the people are heart-centered people. They're just such open people. They're very relatable, very humble, down to earth. And I've had some profound healing experiences there, and I just heard it. So that's why I started shifting from clinical medicine to what I call pilgrimage medicine now. And because I've just witnessed in my time spending there and leading people there and facilitating these healing experiences, that you can truly get healing on such a deep level that I've not been able in 20 years in clinical practice. Because, it's really what the individual is saying yes to. So you can be working with somebody for 2 years. You can help them to a certain degree, alleviate some of their symptomology, help make some minor changes in their lives. But then they still have the underlying psychosomatic component of that condition, what causes that in the first place, that they haven't dealt with, a trauma of some sort. And then doing this pilgrimage medicine, it actually, you can go deep. You go very deep because you're held in a sacred container where you feel safe, that you feel you can unfold and share and you can be witness. And I'm trained in this. So I'm trained to support people physically, emotionally, and spiritually.
Mm-hmm. So what can people expect to experience on one of your tours,
Themselves fully.
Mm-hmm.
So they would fully get to know themselves, step into their own authenticity. Obviously they're going to learn about the history and they're going to be wowed by the splendor and just the excitement of it all, and it's fun and it's adventurous, but they're going to have deep, intimate connection with fellow pilgrims. Because we've made, every year, like I have had other pilgrimages, and we do like an anniversary call, and we have our own WhatsApp groups because we've witnessed each other blossom and move through really challenging things. You bond for life. So you have like-minded people that you've shared this experience. Most of my pilgrims, they come back, people are like, how was your vacation? They're like, it wasn't a vacation. Because nobody can understand what you went through, because it's such a profound experience. It's such an embodied experience. Unless you were there, it's hard to talk about it. People can't even put it into words and to share it or to fully do it justice. And so it's, it's life-changing. It's life-altering.
So who is it for? I mean, is this something that you bring your whole family to? Do you bring your kids along? If you're elderly, is it something that you can participate in? Do you need to put a backpack on and climb mountains? Or, who's it for? Like, who's your kind of like, who can benefit most in your view from your experiences?
So I have different pilgrimages I put on. So each one has a different theme, and that calls different people in itself. Mm-hmm. I've had women only. Then I have some that's like, has been more couples or more, also mother-daughter, that kind of scenario. But I'm going to be doing in the summer a family one for 10 and up, because I know there's a big homeschool community in Bermuda. And my daughter has been begging me to go to Egypt. She's 10 years old, and I have a great interest in ancient civilization and also all the spiritual and energetic components of Egypt and the ancient Egyptian culture and how they used to heal. So I'm putting on a ancient Egyptian adventure in the summertime, where you could bring one or two of your children, and there will be some spiritual elements to it where you can deepen in this way with sound healing, but not too serious, so that kids, there'll be more fun and educational components for the children, 10 and up. Mm-hmm. So it depends on the demographic. But then I've had on my my pilgrimage last year, there was 2 people turning 70, and there was a few people in their 60s, and we climbed the pyramids, and I had a person that needed a wheelchair in some of the museums. So it depends on, everything's accessible and we can accommodate it. Egypt can be harsh on the system, especially the digestive system as well. So I prepare everyone going there, also from a holistic medicine perspective, that they are rested, that their immune system is well in check, that they're able to adjust to the environment, because it's a time change, it's an environmental change, it's a food change. And then you have this huge energetic container that you're in, and your body responds to that energy as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So what's the next opportunity for people to really come with you?
So in May, I'm actually doing a wellness retreat, like a reset detoxifying retreat in Egypt, which is going to be part on the Libyan border in Siwa, which is the Western Desert and the Sahara. And we're going to be swimming in Cleopatra's pool, where Cleopatra used to bathe. Then we're going to be floating in the Salt Lake, which is very similar to the Dead Sea, but it's still like a well-kept secret. So it's not been overly spoiled by tourism, where you get the benefits of being in that salt and detoxifying your body that way. Then there's hot springs in the desert safari. We go in a desert safari. And we also do the sweat tents. So the sweat tents is like the Egyptian sweat lodge, like you would do for Native American sweat lodge traditions, but they bury you in the sand, and that helps to detoxify all the chemicals and toxins out of your body, and you feel refreshed and renewed. And that's why we need to go in May. It's already really hot there, but the sand needs to be hot enough so you can have a proper sweat. And the reason why I'm doing it this way is because what I found, you walk the temples in a whole different way once you've cleansed and detoxified your body. You're able to come in with a clear mind, your consciousness, your energy is clearer, so you're able to go much deeper on a spiritual mindfulness level when you go and do the rest of the pilgrimage. So that's why we're doing that part first. Now your body's acclimated to the environment, to the food, it's detoxified, and then you're able to have a whole different transcending experience in the temples.
Okay. So what are your thoughts on the Living Green Expo, and what can people expect from you when they come to the event? Like, what will you be offering?
Well, I love the whole changing minds, and just, looking at how we live in this world and what we bring to this world. So I just love that it's all like-minded people and building a community and learning of how we can all work together on this common goal. So that's why I chose to participate in this as well. And, I'll be offering more sound healing. So I'll be doing a sound bath, we call it. So it's just where you kind of go in a meditation, like a hypnosis session almost. And you're just going deep with the sound, and you can meditate and just receive it. And this is what I do when I'm on my tours in Egypt as well. And then people can come up and talk to me. I do one-on-one healing work. I do mentorship. So I also train people how to use sound healing or use their voice for their own healing practices, or if they already have a health practice. So I teach people in that, or with meditation, or these spiritual elements that I practice, how to apply it to their practice, either personally or the practice that they teach. So people can come and talk to me about my mentorship program, and also about my retreats and tours to Egypt. I'll have a vendor station, and they can come and meet me and talk to me. They experience the sound and learn more about Egypt. I love Egypt and would love to share that with them. Okay.
And if somebody is interested in learning more, I guess, if they see this, they want to learn more before even the expo, or after the expo, how can people get in touch with you to connect with, going on your tours or experiencing, a sound healing or anything like that?
So my website is drkathia.com. That's drkathia.com. So that has everything on there. And on Instagram, I'm frequency_alchemist. I'm a frequency alchemist, So that's what I bring. This is frequency, and I do alchemy. I create magic. And so they can follow me on Instagram. I have a YouTube channel as well, SOAR with Dr. Kathia, PhD. So they can look at my YouTube. I have a lot of videos and some teachings on there. So that's how they can reach me.
So I understand there's some history behind the name SOAR Journeys. So, how did you end up coming up with that name?
So my own pilgrimage to Egypt, we went up that was my first hot air balloon ride. I've always wanted to go on a hot air balloon ride, and I was so lucky that it ended up being in Egypt, because, being it was just before sunrise, and we were going up above the Valley of the Kings and Queens, which is in the western desert of Luxor, which is Thebes. It's sort of like the Mediterranean of Egypt. It's on the Nile. And you have the dichotomy of the one side of it is all by the Nile, is all green and lush and beautiful. It looks like the divine feminine. And the other side is all arid, dry, and it's like it's the desert. Right? And it's this yin and yang, it's this polarity. So it's everything in natural medicine that we look at, is that yin and yang balance, the masculine, feminine. And you rising above, so from a shamanic perspective, we always say, you're soaring, you're becoming like the falcon, which is Horus. I teach ancient Egyptian mythology. So Horus is the falcon, and, you're soaring like the falcon above. So with the hot air balloon, you rise above your challenges. You rise above your limitations, your limiting beliefs. You're able to look at what's been holding you back, what's, any dogma or narrative you've been running, whether that was something that was culturally imposed on you or in whatever way, but you've been running a narrative and you think this is who I am and this is what I'm about and this is what I'm aligning to, and it's not you at all. Most people it doesn't get even afforded to have that realization that this is not who I am. This is not what I'm about. Most people don't even realize that in this lifetime. And, to have such an awakening experiences when you actually can be taken out of that and you're like, oh, wow, there's more to life. There's more to me. There's, everything I thought was real is not real. And I can create my own narrative, a new story. This is not who I was or who I am. And that's what I loved. And that's how SOAR started. That's how to soar above, soar to new heights.
Well, give thanks. I really appreciate you coming on, Dr. Roberts, and sharing, your wealth of knowledge and all the experience you have. There's obviously a number of different modalities that you're trained in and that you're able to offer. So with that in mind, I really encourage you to come out to the Living Green Expo. It's on Sunday, January 28th. It's going to be in the shed in the Royal Naval Dockyard. We have a host of vendors, of practitioners, people dealing with renewable energy efficiency, zero emission vehicles. We're going to have a whole vegan food court, some organic farmers. So there will be a wealth of knowledge there. And I really encourage you to come and see Dr. Roberts, learn all about her offerings, learn about resonance, and learn about pilgrimage medicine. So thank you again for coming out and sharing your time with us. I look forward to having you at the expo. Thank you again for watching today. And remember, this is all about living naturally and thinking sustainably. So give thanks. Peace and love.